We've got to make crimes criminal again. I mean, it's just common sense. President Trump has done nothing wrong here, and he continues to be the target of endless lawfare. It has to stop. And you're going to see the United States Congress address this in every possible way that we can, because we need accountability. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's bigger than President Trump. It's about the people's faith in our system of justice. And we're going to get down to the bottom of it. All these cases need to be dropped because they are a threat to our entire system.
The worst part is that Mike Johnson said that bit about making crimes criminal again about a week after he substituted his opinion about Trump's guilt as fact. It's not that he changed his mind. He just picks and chooses when to care about the law.
An FBI report just yesterday has reported that the rate of assaults on law enforcement officers in America is at a 10-year high. We have got to reverse that. As the sheriff said earlier, we've got to make crimes criminal again. I mean, it's just common sense. And I think everybody in the country who looks at this objectively understands it. Anybody who's not involved in the radical, woke, progressive left understands clearly that you got to maintain the peace.
Suddenly, Johnson's concerned about assault on law enforcement officers by quoting the FBI. You know, that law enforcement agency that Republicans suddenly hate because their criminals have been faced with answering for their crimes. He also had the nerve to say anybody not associated with the radical woke left understands that you have to maintain the peace. So I wonder which cases of assault on officers he's not worried about and what kind of peace he's willing to disrupt.
Multiple capital injuries! Multiple capital injuries!
I witnessed the rioters using all kinds of weapons against officers, including flagpoles, metal bike racks that they had torn apart, and various kinds of projectiles.
I was grabbed, beaten, tased, all while being called a traitor to my country. I was at risk of being stripped of and killed with my own firearm, as I heard chants of kill him with his own gun.
Eventually, he succeeded in stripping away my gas mask, and a new rush of exposure to CS and OC spray hit me. The mob of terrorists were coordinating their efforts now, shouting heave, ho, as they synchronized, pushing their weight forward, crushing me further against the middle door frame.
All these contradictions and hypocritical takes just to cover for one guy that promises to consume as much power as he can if he gets back into office. He's so narrowly focused on being one of Trump's favorite yes men, he came to support law enforcement without even knowing that his party legislates against the funding that they claim to support.
We've heard a lot this week about Democrats supporting defund the police. The Republican Study Committee budget cuts the main federal grant program that local departments use to hire officers. How is that not proposing to defund the police?
I haven't looked into the details of the RSC budget. There's lots of nuances. They also plus up other areas where you support law enforcement because that's a central theme of what we believe. It's part of our worldview, it's part of our party platform, and it will always be consistent.
Except for those times when it's not consistent, which is about every time Donald Trump points his grubby fingers at every aspect of the criminal justice system. From complaining about the jail where he turned himself in, to the courtrooms he has to sit in, to the process of seating a jury to hear his case. You know, all those things that every other person charged with a crime has to experience in order to face their accusers. They just don't have the luxury of snapping their fingers to get their lapdogs to come bark outside of court for them. And I don't think Speaker Johnson realizes that everyone notices.
I see politicians running toward the sound of the sleaze because that's what their master is demanding them. I suppose at this point we shouldn't be surprised, but it's still shocking. It's still amazing that you have these politicians embracing Donald Trump in the middle of a hush money trial. What's happening now is that it's become the new litmus test. You have to embrace it all. You have to embrace the election denial, the lies. You have to embrace the insurrection. You have to embrace the the hush money to a porn star, the multiple affairs. You have to embrace the obstruction of justice. You have to make yourself part of the obstruction of justice. We're seeing a scene in American politics that we have never seen before and which was unimaginable until the last 2 days. And by the way, as you guys have pointed out, so much for the party of morality, so much for the party of law and order.